Hello everyone, this is Low by Bradford Tatum. I like that cover right there. So this almost, I guess it could almost be called cozy science fiction, except that it's a little on there's a little bit of violence and kind of trauma introduced into it that probably it doesn't quite make that step. Like you got this new genre of fantasy, cozy fantasy. This doesn't quite fit there even as a science fiction book. So you have here, for example, it starts off with a murder, or does it? Because you have synthetic beings. They call them builds, replicants. They're not androids of any kind. They're actually organic, like me and you. And you run into a human versus synthetic conflict here. So Lo, he is a build, and he kills another build at the very start of the book. And the reaction, though there's some, I guess you could call it angst about it, ultimately it's just, oh, you damaged my property, and this property damaged my property, and so not a whole hell of a lot is done about it. And I wondered if you're actually talking about beings who are conscious, just like I am, how is this not thought of as murder? And it turns out there's a real life example of people looking at synthetic anything and just brushing it away. In the movie Blade Runner, Harrison Ford's character falls in love with a replicant. And Rutger Hauer, who's also, of course, in the movie, had an interview, and in this interview, he said, I didn't like the love story thing because it was like, hey, I'm going to fall in love with a toaster. And so the point of the movie goes right over his head, but that's the reaction that you get here. It's just a piece of junk thing we own, and okay, there's some kind of emotional fallout from it, but it's not treated as a murder just because they're considered to not be real. However, Lo himself is handed off because he had other owners. He's handed off to someone, and someone's name's Cook. And Cook's really the main character. He's our viewpoint guy. Cook comes from Earth. The rich left Earth to come to Mars. There's a mistake here about, I think people think this takes place way out in the outer reaches of the solar system because it says Kuiper Belt on here. No, it's Mars. And his name's Cook. That's what he does. He cooks. He's like gourmet, super cook. And where he is of nature, Lo is of synthetic. And he is given to cook. And what goes on here is I guess you'd call it a found family thing. It is a melding of what's considered real and not real, and where they meet in the middle. Lo is his superior in all things. He is smarter than him, physically better than him. He seems to be one step ahead of him in all things. Cook's big thing, the way he starts out, is as a young child, he killed his mother. And as these pages turn, you get an unfolding of what was going on up to that event. And it is the best thing about the book. So what you have is Lo trying to appeal to him and help him, because Cook, being a nature man, he would rather his food be something he could grow in the garden. He just doesn't have that. He has to use a printer. That prints out organic material and makes food out of it. And well, so Lo gives him a garden, and it's perfect garden. But he wants, what Cook likes is sort of like something I heard Dave Grohl, musician, say. He actually likes the live versions of musical performances rather than what you get on a tape that's done in studio, because he likes all the little not quite perfect things that musicians might do live. And he tries to get this across to Lo, and Lo sort of starts to get it. And their evolution together is really the point of the book. There are other builds on the planet, and they're being used as part of an experiment, which I won't give away to you. The as it wore on, I started to wonder if the ending wasn't going to be quite what I wanted, or be something that was going to fall flat, because it wasn't quite, things weren't starting to, fall into what you think is going to be the resolution. But once it does get to the end, it hits really, really well. And I actually appreciate this. This will make certainly my top 10 list. I don't know if it'll be my favorite this year. It's been a kind of a lesser year than the previous year, and so I'll have to go down my list and contrast, compare. But Low is up there. This is a really good, well-written novel, not too long. Get through that pretty easily in a week, and I recommend that to just about anyone. So, next week, this came to me watching Chanel at Chanel Chapters, One Level Down by Mary G. Thompson. There it is right there. Ella is the oldest 5-year-old in the universe. For 58 years, the founder of a simulated colony planet has forced her to pretend to be his daughter. Her daddy has absolute power over all elements of reality, but his failing experiments and despotic need for absolute control are increasingly dangerous. Ella's very life depends on her performance as a child. She watched Daddy delete her stepmother and the loved ones of anyone who helps her, but every 60 years a technician comes from the world above. If Ella cannot make the technician help her, a desperate measure could lead to consequences for the entire universe. With her debut novel for adults, Mary G. Thompson has crafted a taut, ultimately hopeful story that deftly explores identity and autonomy. This is the 1st of December. Oh, so this is next week. That'll be the 8th. The week after that is the 15th. I already have a book planned for that, and then I'm not sure about the one after that just yet. So there's only really 3 books. I might start a 4th by the end of the year, so I'm almost at the end of the year and what I'm going to read. It's just creeping up on me. Then I got to make a top 10 list, which I'll make before the end of the year, I think, if I'm in the middle of a book. That's it then. See you next week for